So let's go back to meeting Tony.
You know, I got to middle school. My first day of school, the first person I met was Tony Medina. You know, we met and we actually had like this kind of like scheduling conflicts. So we sent all the people with conflicts to the auditorium, and I sat next to this dude for like the whole entire day. You know, all we did was talk about, you know, it's like he had a Weezer patch, and I think like we were talking about wrestling or something. Like, oh, you like Weezer? Like, yeah, all right, cool, homies. You know, like that's it. You know. So it was both of our first day of school, and then we coincidentally had the same homeroom, which means that you have the same class for every year, you know, that you're there. And, you know, he's like going to summer vacation is like, you know, you sign the papers for elective to come when you're 7th grade. And it's like, and I was like just running around, like being a fucking travieso and stuff. And it's like, and I signed this paper, I'm going to be in marching band, I'm going to be in band. Like, oh, I'm down, I'm being band too. So I signed it, walked away to think about it. Saw him next year in the orchestra class, and like, dude, what do you do? He's like, oh, this means this means this. And, you know, just blow and, you know, play the trumpet like this. And I really wanted to play the saxophone because my dad always told me stories about him playing baritone saxophone. So I missed school a lot because I would stay up late, I wouldn't get up in time. So I missed the day that they brought the saxophone out, and I ended up picking up a trumpet because Tony was playing trumpet. So we ended up playing trumpet together. And that kind of just started everything. Kind of, we just, you know, went through middle school, high school, trying to start a band. And, you know, I'd spend all day drawing these band logos on my notebook, you know, and trying to write songs, you know, or just like making flyers. And, you know, like we used to have this little hustle with the homie. And, like, anytime there was a backyard punk gig, they would come to us to draw these flyers because they were all handmade back then. You know, you make one original, you print them out, and pass them out. It's before Facebook, before Instagram. So fucking, so we, you know, that got us to know all these older bands and other people. And, you know, the people that we were in high school with were in a talent show, a band called Upground. You know, and they blew my mind because we had saw them like with Unit 13 at the East LA College. And, you know, we were like 13, 14 going to these punk rock shows, like just tripping out and like how fucking professional everything seemed and how loud everything and how exciting it was. And, you know, I think we just wanted to start a band. And, you know, we met up with some guys in Boyle Heights, and that started this little ska-core band, turned into the Delirians, a reggae band.
How far does this project go?
He had joined the band first, and he was like taking a bus to South Central to go practice with these guys or somewhere. And I was like, man, like, what? Like, you know, your parents said you do that? Like, crazy. Yeah, man, just, you know, ska, you know, these show here and there, blah, blah. So like, yeah, I want to do this. So he's like, yeah, just, you know, I hit up the guy, and like he told me to come down to practice and audition, you know. I showed up with my trumpet and lead singer. Oh, no, actually, I showed up as a guitar player because I wanted to audition as a guitar. I showed up with my guitar and like, you know, and then I talked to the guitar player. I was like, hey, like, you know, what's up? Can I audition? And he's like, oh, we already have a guitar player, man. Sorry. And he picks up his guitar and he just starts jamming. I'm like, oh, so you can't have two guitar players? All right, whatever. And then Tony was like, man, he plays trumpet too. Let him play trumpet. So I was like, I don't know if Tony had brought him, I can't remember, but I don't know if he had an extra trumpet or if I had brought my trumpet as well. And, you know, we started playing the songs and they liked it. There was two horn players. But then like the guitar player came to me again, like, oh, man, that's, you know, that's kind of cool. Tony plays trumpet though. Like if you play trombone, it'd be tighter, you know? So I was like, all right, motherfucker. So the next day I ditched school and I was in the band room, just picked out a trombone, and I was just trying to learn everything I had learned the day before on the trombone. Got together with them the next day after that, and then I was like, all right, I guess you can be in the band. So then I was like, cool. I was like, okay, fuck it. Now I can be in that band. So I became a trombone player for a long time. And we kind of just like, we played backyards and we traveled a little bit. You know, the farthest we went was like San Jose or something like that. Vegas, maybe something like that. But we would play like the festivals and the shows and didn't really go too far. We put out a little record. And, but what really came out of that is that, you know, the guitar player, myself and Tony had kind of started the Delirians, which became a band for a while, which I still have a tattoo of right here. And me and Tony have that. He has the same tattoo. Fun facts. But yeah, so we started that group, and I think that's what really kind of got us to look at music and take it seriously as a business. Because Tony's dad has been in the business for years. And he was like, his house was always the house that we'd be practicing at, making noise. And so he put the idea of making music a profession in our head really early on. You know, so it didn't seem like we were wasting. It didn't seem like we were just like wasting our time with our friends. We actually were working towards something, and our family started seeing that we were taking it seriously because we were investing money. You know, we were taking steps to be professional and to like put out stuff and get a website at the time, put out make a CD, shirts, merchandise. You know, so they kind of let us run wild with that, and we kind of took the Delirians to another level, and that kind of was our main thing for a long time. Angel still is, the guitar player is still in that group, still kind of leading the group, taking them to another steps now. So it's kind of like, that's where we kind of had our meeting of, this is what we want to do and this is what we're going to do it together.
How big of a blessing is that to meet a guy like Tony, first day of school, his dad being in a band, really educating you guys on the business. I mean, that is like a godsend, Tony is, right?
Man, I owe a lot of it to him, man, and his family, because like I said, they put in our head to be able to do this as a living and make it a profession and to take it seriously. And he's always been not only like one of the best musicians to play with and write with, but he's such a professional and such a loyal musician to have. So I mean, he instilled a lot of that kind of professionalism at an early age to me directly.
Now, you guys, after high school, you guys move in together in Uptown Whittier, right, in the studio. Can you go into details about that?
Yeah, so I think we had kind of lost, because like I said, before then, his garage was the place that we had rehearsed at and recorded at. And, we had turned his whole garage, we had redone it, put the whole soundproof, really did it real nice. And, the family had moved out of the house, his mom had sold the house. So he was, I forgot where he was, maybe he was moving in with his grandparents or something, but, the point is that we needed a place to play and practice. We wanted to keep going. We had these shows and these tours coming up. We were going to Canada for the first time. So like, we were like, we gotta invest and, we're not gonna pay to play at these, we're not gonna pay for these hour spots. We need a place that we could, build. So we all kind of sat down and decided that we're gonna get this studio. We got the Uptown Whittier, and I remember we got the keys like a week earlier, maybe a couple days early, and no furniture, no appliances, nothing in there. We all just slept on the floor, like just bring your blankets. And we all just kind of like, we're so happy to be in our own studio that we just all crashed out right there in the night. So it was kind of like, that was like the meeting grounds for everybody. And it turned into like a really, really big community, because we got friends with the people next door, and then our friends had ended up renting that building, and then another band came up that I had joined, the Steady 45s, had rented the building underneath. So it was like, we would lock this main door down at the base of the stairs and just leave all of our doors open, and everybody would just be coming in and out. I'm like, oh, what are you working? I was like, oh, I need a fucking tambourine. You want to see? Cool. It was straight up a musical community like Motown. And, I think that just kind of that was like my favorite place to be, because I was writing so much and I was so inspired by everybody around me, getting all these ideas and kind of prepping and getting the idea of actually how I have the studio now. I always kind of model it after what that studio was, And we had some wild parties there too.
Yeah, so I want to go into that. So, living in a studio, which you're not supposed to live in, right? You guys are actually moving into the studio, which I don't know if the studio people even know. So can you go into detail on that? Very, very, very illegal for sure to be living there for us, especially four of us. But the landlord, he was cool, just he didn't want it to get too out of hand. But, we would be up for days sometimes. We'd be up for days just like working on projects, jamming out or fixing something, and like, just playing records, showing each other stuff, like always just kind of something was always going on. So it was kind of hard to sleep because people's sleep schedules were different. Some people work graveyard, come in and want to be in the studio all night, and then, other people spend all day working, kind of want to come home, and everybody it was tough, but it was a lot of fun. It was kind of cool to get to know everybody proper, So let's talk about Steady 45s, right?
Yeah.
You went on tour with this band. You've seen some nice parts of the world. Can you talk about just that tour, the tours that you guys were doing, and what that experience was like?
We had always talked about, going on tour, it's going like this many amount of days out of the year. And, one year we actually did it. We had to hit our kind of whatever, I think it was a number, 1,000 or something, or 10,000. I don't know what it was, some crazy number of shows in a year or something, or in the span of whatever time we'd be playing. And we just kind of booked this major US tour, and it coincided with another tour that we were going to Europe for a month. So we had like, it was just like, felt like 2 years that we were on the road straight, you know, doing these shows. We'd come home maybe like for a couple weeks, but then we'd be back out, you know, and then starting another tour with another band. And like I said, we had kind of just put our money into a van and a bus and like a little short kind of medical bus kind of thing, put campers in it and put bunks in it and stuff like that. We then did all that stuff. And, you know, the most memorable was just driving across the US and driving south, you know. Just like in the movies, it's like fucking, you hear about it and you think it's something that's kind of like of the past still, but it's still pretty heavy. You can still kind of feel that Southern kind of mentality and that, you know, like that non-acceptance of people coming from the West or from the North and stuff like that. So that was kind of crazy to see, you know. And then when we went to Europe, man, it was just such a nice experience to kind of travel around and saw so much of the countryside and saw, you know, going through Deutschland and France and Czech and everything. It was just kind of like so different, but so like backwards. But I mean, it just felt so good because we got real comfortable with it the first week that we were there. I think we were there for like 3.5 weeks, and we were traveling the whole time, going through all these different towns, playing these shows with the Delirians. And I think that was just kind of like a big bucket list thing that I wanted to do. I've always wanted to go to Europe and stuff, and just the traveling is just like, I hate flying, man. I don't really like flying at all. So that's a big thing. It's like, if it's worth it, then I'll definitely go out at least once. But I try to minimize my time up in the air.
You watch too much La Bamba or what?
I watched too many times that movie, man. You know, no, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. I've always kind of just felt, I'm scared of heights for one, for sure. That's like the biggest thing. But you know, I know every time I go, like I take what's called a time machine. I call it a DeLorean. It's my trick. You know, it's probably not the best thing to do frequently, but you know, if you want to wake up in a different time zone, a different country, and not remember flying and getting there, you know, I take like a little NyQuil and a little couple shots of Jack. You wake up in another country, and you're good to go. You only remember flying, you're all relaxed, well rested. So that's my thing.
Steady 45s, you guys are doing all the tours, you're seeing the world, you're getting a really good experience by being in front of some crowds, and then you decide to hang it up. What was just kind of that turning point right there where you decided, hey, this is not for me anymore?
I think it was just kind of more of like being tired of being on the road. And I really, really, really wanted to get back in the studio and make a good record. I've always wanted to just make a good record. And I think I'm still trying to make a good record. You know, and I'm talking like an LP, like something that's going to be a good, you know, standing, like be remembered, you know. I guess I don't know what the word is, but I've always wanted to do like, I guess like the Chronic, you know, like I would want to make my Chronic one day. And that's kind of always what it came out of it. I realized I couldn't do this being on the road, you know, getting half sleep, you know, and drinking every night, you know, at the shows. And this is not where I wanted to be at the time. And I think I just didn't have the fire to do it anymore, to go out there and, you know, be the guy. Because I hated it. I don't hate it, but I just didn't prefer having like the spotlight. I like being in the back. I like being the guy on the mixing board rather than the guy with the microphone on stage. You know, I could fit in that spot very well and I could do the part, but I much rather prefer to be, you know, working behind the scenes and helping out a bigger instrument and a bigger whole as people in the band, you know.
Oh, this feeling keeps me up at night. What can it be? It's only love. It's only love. It's only love. Where will it go away? Could it be just a phase? Am I losing my mind? Am I just losing the game? It's only love. It's only love. It's only love. Must be make-believe. Could it be? Could it be just a dream? Must be fairy tale. Could it be? Could it be in my And if this love is real, I don't wanna know. And if this love, I don't wanna know. So keep your love and your faith.